Justin Trudeau is sort of, he's just absolutely lacked leadership when it's come to the file of the pipeline. They talk a big game. They're all about patting themselves on the back and virtue signaling over the environment. They're so proud of themselves, their record, forcing through this unpopular carbon tax, the work that they're doing to push forward incredibly unrealistic targets and standards through the Paris Accord. They're so proud of themselves on that front. But then when it comes to actually, using that environmental framework to get our natural resources extracted and brought to market, they just don't know how to do them both. And, Trudeau is more than happy to cancel other pipelines, as I talked about, as I mentioned, but then all of a sudden this one, he's advocating that should get built, and he's sort of lost the plot. He's sort of lost the argument. So, his government is just really struggling to articulate what it is they believe in, and to try to convince their own base, which is very much made up of radical environmentalists. I mean, even within his own cabinet, there was a story that Spencer Fernando put out yesterday about how Elizabeth May had co-written a book with a senior staff member of Jim Carr, Minister Jim Carr, who's a natural resources minister in Trudeau's government. One of the senior ranking people in his office co-wrote a crazy environmental book with Elizabeth May. So, these environmentalists are really active in high-ranking positions in the Trudeau government, and they're kind of stuck between the same paradox of how to appease the crazy radical environmentalists in your own midst, while also trying to do what's in the national interest, the best interest of the country. And that's why it was so great to see thousands of Canadians show up today to stand up for our natural resources, because it puts more political pressure on these political leaders. Justin Trudeau in Ottawa, Rachel Notley in Alberta, and John Horgan in British Columbia, they're just clueless, trying to appease the radical environmentalists. So nothing. What is the government going to do? What is the federal government going to do to stop radical environmentalists who have hijacked the system? They don't really have an answer. They're not showing any leadership, and they're really talking out of both sides of their mouth. Like, why do we believe these people? Catherine McKenna, of all people, who is trying to shove a carbon tax down our throat, who says that she has no time for people who don't agree with her when it comes to carbon taxes. And now all of a sudden she's saying that this is a pipeline that has to be built. Their own base, the radical environmentalists, aren't having any of this. And I don't think that mainstream everyday Canadians who are paying attention are having it, because it's not consistent with what they've been talking about. It doesn't seem sincere. It seems incredibly hypocritical.